Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video on the Gooners and Gloves Podcast channel. In today's video, it's going to be the 60th Gooners and Gloves Podcast, and I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and reactions to Arsenal's game versus Brentford in the Premier League. Currently, it's half time. The deadlock has not yet been broken. It's still 0-0. So, as always, I'm going to go over the first half, and then in the second half of the video, I'll go over the second half. So, just going to kind of talk about how I think everyone's playing, how I think Arsenal's doing, how the game's going so far, how I'm obviously feeling heading into the next game, etc. So pretty much let's just jump straight into this. So obviously the first thing to talk about is the heavily rotated side. Unsurprisingly, Arteta did decide to go with a very rotated side. Clearly Arteta recognizes that, despite the fact that we're 3-0 up against Real Madrid, it's still Real Madrid, it's still the Bernabeu, and clearly Mikel Arteta recognizes and has a lot of respect for that. And so for that, he has rotated the squad quite heavily. Kieran Tierney actually got his first start for the first time in 2 years, which is obviously really cool, and we'll get into Kieran Tierney in a minute. But aside from that, quite a lot of rotation. Obviously, Declan Rice playing. Surprisingly, I didn't actually expect to see Declan Rice because obviously he played in the Champions League, but I guess Declan Rice is someone who's just quite irreplaceable. But for the most part, quite a rotated side. You've got Ethan Nwaneri playing, you've got Kieran Tierney playing, Alexander Zinchenko, Jorginho. So a very rotated side, lots of changes, which I feel like is what we expected at the end of the day. Obviously, Arteta recognizes that the league is it's done, it's finished. Clearly we're not gonna win the league, but also clearly we've secured Champions League for next season. So now full steam ahead on Real Madrid and on the Champions League, and for that reason a pretty rotated side. But to be fair, in spite of the fact that it's a rotated side, I think we're actually playing quite well. I've got to be honest. I know it's still 0-0. I know we haven't scored yet, but to be fair, I do actually think we're doing quite well. I think we're creating a good amount of chances. I think we're dominating Brentford, and honestly I think we're playing quite well so far. So that's encouraging to see that even with a rotated side we could still put on a good performance, we could still play well. That's good to see. So pretty much let's get into kind of how the first half went, and let's talk about some of the key chances. So obviously the big thing that happened in the first half was Kieran Tierney scoring, but it being ruled out for offside. So Ethan Nwaneri delivered a beautiful ball, really good cross, and then Kieran Tierney got the header on it and found the goal. Unfortunately, it was ruled offside, which really sucks because obviously this is Kieran Tierney's first start in 2 years in the league. I think since May 2023 this is his first start, so it's quite unfortunate that he got disallowed, especially with how happy he was and stuff. But alas, that's how the cookie crumbles. It was also unfortunate for Nwaneri because Nwaneri delivered an absolute beauty of a ball. Seriously, what a ball he delivered. He completely just crossed this in so perfectly, and then Kieran Tierney got his head to it, but unfortunately it was ruled offside, and completely fairly, by the way. It was definitely offside, no doubt about it. I'm glad they didn't deliberate over it for too long. So clearly the semi-automated offside technology is working, because this one they didn't deliberate over too long, which was good, because one thing I hate is when something is clearly offside but it just keeps getting deliberated over. So clearly offside, so a let-off for Brentford, unfortunate for Arsenal. Aside from that, we had some other good chances. Gabriel Martinelli had a really good chance. He got a really good ball delivered to him, but then Ayer with a really good tackle and was able to prevent Martinelli from having a shot. So that was a really good chance for Martinelli. Declan Rice had a really good chance as well, where he got it just wide. I think literally he just about got it past Flecken, but it was a bit too wide, so that was unfortunate. Rice also had another chance where he got a corner straight on target. However, it was dealt with well by Flecken. So some really good chances for Arsenal in this half. Definitely some good opportunities. To be fair, Brentford did have one good chance of their own with I think it was Ayer again. So I think Mbeumo delivered it to Ayer, and then Ayer had the shot, and David Raya made the save. And to be fair to David Raya, he hasn't had a lot to do so far, but he's done he's done well when called upon. He's ensured to deal with all of the different corners that have been taken by Brentford. He's dealt with the set pieces. And of course, he did make a save against Ayer's shot, so it was a good ball from Mbeumo, and then Ayer with a really good shot, but David Raya makes the save. So, David Raya didn't have too much to do this first half, but he's definitely been, doing his job when called upon, which is obviously great to see. So, all in all, pretty decent first half for Arsenal, still 0-0, but as I said, quite a rotated side. Obviously, Saliba's having a good game, Kivior, I think, is doing well, and yeah, it's just how it is, It's obvious that we were going to play a rotated side, so clearly we couldn't expect the same fireworks as we got against Real Madrid, although that being said, just saying, Real Madrid was also 0-0 at half time, so you never know. But obviously, we were never going to get the sort of fireworks that we got against Real Madrid. We did see Bukayo Saka, Urian Timber, etc. warming up, so I do think that they'll probably come on. Marino was also benched, which I feel like I actually didn't expect, because even in the rotated side against Everton, he still played in midfield. So maybe Mikel Marino will come off the bench. We don't know. I think Bukayo Saka very clearly will come off the bench because I think he was shown at literally around like 10 minutes warming up. So it's obviously he'll come on probably at halftime for Ethan Nwaneri because that's what's been happening recently. Yuri and Timber will probably come on as well. So yeah, but all in all, a very good performance so far. I'm honestly pleased with how we're playing. I think considering that this is a rotated side and obviously we've got Real Madrid in a few days, I think we're playing well. But I would like the win though. Hopefully we can get the win and also hopefully we can keep the clean sheet as well. You know, in our last couple of games, we've lost the clean sheets in very annoying ways. Obviously against Fulham, we conceded in the last minute to lose the clean sheet, and against Everton we gave away what was an incredibly dodgy penalty. So hopefully a clean sheet, hopefully a win. We do want to be seeing some goals, but as mentioned before, some good chances from the likes of Declan Rice, Gabriel Martinelli, Leandro Trossard had a really good chance as well. He took a really good left-footed shot which was saved by Flecken. So some good chances from the likes of Trossard, Declan Rice, Gabriel Martinelli, Kieran Tierney, etc, etc. So the opportunities have definitely been there, the corners, everything like that. We've definitely been dominating the game quite well, and while Brentford had a couple of chances, most notably through Ayer, when Ayer took the shot at Raya, which Raya saved. But for the most part, I think we've done well to kind of contain their chances, defend, and you know, it's just good to see some of our players getting a bit of a run around that have never been able, you know, don't really get minutes. You know, Zinchenko, Tierney, Jorginho, etc, etc. It's good to see that they're getting some minutes and getting some opportunities. Nwaneri, of course. So great to see that. Happy that they're getting the chances. Happy that they're getting the opportunities, and you know, hopefully we can keep building on this first half. Hopefully we can go on and score in the second half. But all in all, a pretty good first half. One thing I do want to talk about though is, I'm not going to lie, Norgard should have been sent off. I'm just going to say it as it is. A really nasty challenge from Norgard on Martinelli. I almost forgot to mention this, but Norgard with a hideous challenge on Martinelli honestly could have broken his leg. Somehow he got away with just a booking. I don't know how. In my opinion, that should have been red. It was very cynical, and really it could have gone down as serious foul play. You know, he could very well have broken his leg. It was a really bad tackle. It's very clear he had no other intentions but to foul Martinelli there. So in my opinion, definitely could have gone down as a red card. It was very cynical. It was a nasty challenge and was very, very dangerous. So yeah, in my opinion, it should have been a red card, but the referee only gave it a yellow. But it's just something I wanted to mention because it was definitely a talking point of the first half. The really nasty tackle from Norgard, in my opinion, should have been a red card. He should have been sent off, but alas, that's not what happened. So we'll see what continues to happen. But all in all, clean sheet is intact, and we've definitely been having some good opportunities. So hopefully now, just like we did against Madrid, we can really come out aggressive for the second half and get this win, because end of the day, regardless of the Premier League being done, you still want to be winning. I mean, Nottingham Forest just lost earlier to Everton, so it's a chance to pull further ahead of them and completely just shore up that second place finish, which ultimately we won. You know, clearly we're not going to get first, so you want to at least be, you know, guaranteeing yourself to finish second. And Nottingham Forest just dropped points earlier when Everton scored a last minute winner, so it's an opportunity for us to keep pulling further ahead, and you never know, maybe close the gap a little bit on Liverpool. You never know, they play tomorrow. So yeah, but all in all, a decent first half, good chances from Arsenal, clean sheet is intact, and we've limited Brentford to quite a few, you know, very few chances, which is good to see in spite of the fact that the defense is quite rotated. Obviously David Raya has been, you know, performing whenever called upon in this match. So all in all, a good first half. Not too much to talk about because ultimately the score is 0-0, but hopefully the deadlock will be broken and hopefully Arsenal can go on and get this win. But I'll catch you guys for the second half. Okay guys, so I just got finished watching the second half. The game has just ended. It ends 1-1. It's another draw for Arsenal in the Premier League, the 12th draw this season. It's actually crazy just how many games we keep drawing. Like, I know these are games that we aren't losing, but like, it's just so annoying that we keep drawing these games, and it's happened yet again. It's pretty much the same story as the Everton game last time. We opened the scoring, we kept it for a while, but just unfortunately a sloppy mistake led to the equalizer, and therefore the game ended 1-1. So definitely an action-packed second half. A lot took place, so let's get into it. So Arsenal were able to score early into the second half. A really good counter-attack. The ball was deployed and it was a great counter-attack, great finish, and Arsenal go 1-0 up. And obviously, you know, at this point we're thinking, okay, hopefully we can see out this 1-0 win, maybe get a second, you know, but you're just hoping that, okay, we can just kind of see out the win, go on to the Real Madrid game with another win under our belt. But unfortunately, that didn't end up happening. It wasn't to be. Yeah, really unfortunate. 1-1. So yeah, great goal from Arsenal, a really good counter-attack and a great finish. So Arsenal opened the scoring. Aside from that, to be honest, it was kind of just a, you know, standard second half. Some good chances from Arsenal, but just not quite being converted. Definitely wasteful. We saw some substitutions. We saw Saka come on, Odegaard, Mikel Merino, etc., etc. Miles Lewis-Skelly as well. So, we definitely saw some of the starters from the Champions League start to come onto the pitch, which, it's good. It's good that they're getting some game time. You don't want to just give them no game time at all. You still want them to be fresh. You still want them to have some game time in their legs. So it was good to see some of them out there. Not the greatest performance from them, to be honest. Odegaard didn't do too much. Saka, to be fair, did create some chances, but I've got to be honest, I thought Saka was quite poor today. Just, losing the ball, and obviously we have to talk about that chance that Saka missed. I mean, an open goal, Saka, that's really not like him, and I think it's moments like that where you can really tell that Saka is very much still, I know he's back from injury, but he's still recovering from injury. It's clear that he's still, feeling the effects of the injury. It's clear that he still hasn't regained full fitness, because Saka of last season, or Saka from earlier in the season, he shoots that instantly, but he took his time. I think he panicked a bit, and unfortunately he lost out a really good chance, so I definitely have to mention that. Some other decent chances that he created, but the passing just wasn't there, and he had a good shot near the end of the game, but obviously we can't be too angry at Saka. I'm not too angry about it, because end of the day, as I said, I understand he didn't play football for 4 months. We can't expect him to just be balling out of control when he hasn't played for so long. It's understandable it's going to take time for him to get up to full fitness, so I do understand that. But the one thing that was quite annoying about Saka was that miss. I've got to be honest, we just have to be honest about it. I'm sure even Saka would admit that was a really bad moment for him. He had an open goal right in front of him. He had all the time in the world, but just spent way too long, got to kind of just overthought about it a bit too much, and eventually did not shoot. So really, really unfortunate, but there you go. Martinelli, to be fair, I thought had a decent game. I thought he was definitely one of our more threatening players, and I think it was definitely evident in that second half, because he was just getting fouled all over the place. Everybody was just fouling Martinelli today. It was ridiculous. Literally just foul after foul after foul, and I think that's just because the Brentford players picked up on the fact that he was by far our most threatening player today, and I would definitely say he was quite threatening. Trossard, to be honest, didn't really do too much in that second half. I wasn't particularly impressed with him in the second half. So yeah, it's one of those things, before we brought on all the starters from the Champions League, it was 1-0, and then for some reason, when we brought on all those regular starters, for some reason we ended up conceding. In terms of Brentford's goal, to be fair, it was a well taken goal. So it was a corner, and then Nathan Collins lays the ball off to Yohan Wissa, and then Yohan Wissa with a great finish lobs Raya. So to be fair to Brentford, it was actually a very good goal. We can't really say it was lucky or fortunate, because it was actually a very good finish from Yohan Wissa off a great delivery from Nathan Collins off the pass. So definitely a solid goal for Brentford, so no hate towards them. They did well with that goal, and end of the day, this is what happens when we play a rotated side. I'm not too angry at Arteta for playing a rotated side, because I understand, end of the day, it's still Real Madrid, it's still the Bernabeu. You still want to be showing them the respect even if you are 3-0 up, so I do understand it. But obviously it's just unfortunate to drop points in the Premier League once again. Our second draw in a row in the Premier League, our 12th draw overall. Obviously Liverpool now have a chance to extend the lead even further, which you'd imagine they'll probably do, because they've got West Ham at home. So just unfortunate, but alas, we can't get too bogged down about this. End of the day, it's not a loss, and end of the day, we've got the Real Madrid game on Wednesday to focus about, so that's where the complete focus turns to now. The Real Madrid away game, it's going to be massive, and I just can't wait to see Arsenal at the Bernabeu. I think it's going to be amazing to see Arsenal play at the Bernabeu. It's going to be incredible, and I'm really, really excited to see our players out there, to see Arteta out there, the fans, etc. I think it's going to be brilliant. But definitely an unfortunate result today. To be fair, we did press the game quite a lot, and I'd say in that final 10 minutes, we really, really did try to get the winner, and we definitely were knocking on the door for sure. We definitely knocked on the door, some really good opportunities, but unfortunately it just wasn't to be. But alas, not a terrible performance. Nwaneri, I thought, was actually decent today as well, so not the worst performance ever. I'm not too upset with the performance. Just really, really frustrating that once again we can't keep the clean sheet. It's Brentford didn't have an extraordinary amount of chances today. They had their chances, but they didn't have a crazy amount of chances. But for some reason we just simply can't keep a clean sheet in the league, which I just don't understand why. There's just always that one small good moment that the team has, which we allow them to have, which they then score from. But alas, take nothing away from Brentford. They did well. They got the goal. Nathan Collins delivers it to Yohan Wissa, and Yohan Wissa with a wonderful finish over David Raya. So, props to Brentford. They certainly came here. They got the point. They got a point against Chelsea last week. So they're definitely on the up, and they're certainly, not a team that I dislike or anything. So fair play to Brentford. They got the point. Fair play to them on that. Unfortunate that once again we drop points, and once again we have a draw, but it is what it is. In terms of the Premier League, we just have to look forward to next season now. But alas, that's pretty much it for the game. So definitely an eventful second half. One more thing I forgot to mention is that unfortunately Jorginho did come off injured, so that's yet yet another injury that Arsenal has to contend with. I know that this one probably isn't as impactful, but it's still another injury on top of the massive list that we've got. And something actually very interesting happened, very unique, which doesn't happen that often. We actually ran out of substitutions by that point. So when Jorginho came off at the 85th minute, we actually played that final, I think it was 10 minutes in the end, because it finished at 96 minutes. So I think about 10, 11 minutes. We actually played it with 10 men because we literally had no more substitutions because we ran out of substitutions. I think Arteta had already brought on, the likes of Marino, Lewis Skelly, Timber, Saka, so on and so forth. So for that reason, it just meant that we had no more substitutions. So literally for that last 10 minutes, despite us not having had a red card, we were playing with 10 men because obviously Jorginho came off injured and we had no more substitutions to replace him. So unfortunate that it's yet another injury. I know this one probably isn't as impactful, but you still don't want to be getting any injuries, especially in such an injury crisis. But that's how the cookie crumbles. But all in all, not the worst performance ever, not the best, just kind of an average game, not really the craziest game, not the best performance, not the worst. But all in all, a draw. It's not a loss. It's unfortunate to drop more points, but it is what it is. Our 12th draw of the season. Fair play to Brentford. But yeah, pretty much that's going to do it for the analysis of this game. All in all, a decent game to watch. Not a terrible performance from Arsenal. A good goal taken, and to be fair, should have been more, but unfortunately the finishing just wasn't there today, the chance creation, etc. But alas, that's how the cookie crumbles. So without further ado, I'm going to go on and wrap up my analysis of this game here. On to a massive game against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Look forward to that. Before that though, I will be releasing my Ennis versus Stanionis prediction tomorrow, so also look forward to that. Finally, if you want to help me reach 100 subscribers, I'd be really, really grateful. We're currently on 87. Thank you guys so much for the support recently, the sub growth, and it'd be really, really amazing if we can hit 100 subscribers. So if you want to contribute and help me out, please like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications for more podcasts regularly. But anyway, I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning with my reaction to the Ennis versus Stanionis fight tonight. So I'll catch you guys with that tomorrow morning. I'll of course catch you guys on Wednesday with my reaction to the Arsenal versus Real Madrid second leg, and then obviously we've got a double game week for Arsenal after that. So lots of exciting stuff coming up on the channel. But without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Please let me know down below what you thought of Arsenal's performance versus Brentford, and I'll catch you guys in another podcast soon. Bye bye.